So today we have Steve, who is the CEO of Light Stim. His company designs and manufactures LED therapy devices for wrinkles, acne, and pain. And he's on a mission to help people know what works and what doesn't in red light therapy. So, Steve, we got a few questions I'd love to run by you today. First of all, red light therapy really is this emerging technology. I'm seeing more and more of it. What sparked your passion for this unique form of therapy?
Well, my wife got us into the business originally, and but the thing that really made me passionate about it was when my 21-year-old son went in the hospital to get his tonsils out, and we ended up finding out he has dangerously high blood pressure, like it was like 210 over 165, and they told us he could have a stroke and he could die. And we went to all kinds of doctors, every type of doctor you could imagine. We went to naturopaths, we went to homeopathic people, we went to Chinese medicine, and nobody could find anything wrong with him. He's like a 7% California boy, 21 years old. Like they couldn't find it. And nobody found anything wrong with him. Nothing dropped his blood pressure more than like 3 points. And kind of as a Hail Mary, because we don't know anything else, we're like, why don't we just build a full size LED bed or something? We didn't even know what to call it. And we'll use wavelengths that will stimulate the mitochondria to produce more ATP. Maybe they're not making enough energy for his cells right now, and we can help that. We know that. And so the bed took 6 years to actually get through the FDA and get approved. But in 60 days, we made a super crude version of what ended up becoming the bed that's out now. And he lay down it 3 days a week. And 2 months later, his blood pressure was 130 over 80. And we're like, whoa, maybe this could help a lot of people. Maybe we should actually produce this thing. And that's when we went to the FDA and got the FDA's viewpoint on all of the full body devices on the market weren't like getting any penetration. They were they would never approve an LED bed. Like, don't waste my money. And worked with them for 6 years and overcome the barriers that they saw to penetration and to passing their test for efficacy, and got it approved.
That's incredible. So, if I understand, that's like it starts off with your son. Like you
Yeah,
want to heal your son, which
yeah,
is such a noble way. And then, of course, you realize, well, this helped us. Let's share it with the world, right? Let's get this FDA approved. Let's move this forward.
exactly.
One of the things I find really interesting about red light therapy is that it really works from the inside out. How would you describe this kind of impact to someone who's never tried it before?
I would say the easiest way to define, or give us an understanding of what red light therapy is it's using LED lights, which everybody's familiar with. They're on your Christmas tree, but they go from that all the way to medical grade. Like, so there's lots of different LEDs, and lots of them don't work and some of them work. And use different wavelengths of light or colors. You substitute the word different colors of light for wavelengths, and they have a positive effect on your cells, and different wavelengths have different positive effects. And that is it. I mean, it's much like like photosynthesis, with a plant taking in sunlight and converting it.
That's it. Oh, that's really interesting. Yeah, it's like photosynthesis, but for the skin, for your blood pressure, for creating these positive hormones.
Exactly. And it's only the good wavelengths. There's no UV or any damaging wavelengths.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, it strips out the very best and just gives you that. And what role does temperature play in the effectiveness of red light therapy?
So, so temperature plays a big effect, according to the FDA anyway. And the FDA has kind of determined that if you get the skin between 40 and 44 degrees Celsius, which is 104 to 111 degrees Fahrenheit, which sounds really hot. The outside temperature, that's really hot. But if your skin was at that temperature, you would describe it as, oh, that's like a soothing, gentle warmth that I want to fall asleep to. It's not like sweating or anything like that. and they've determined that that's the band that where you really get benefits. And so they have a test for that. And when you apply the test to the full body, you've got to check different areas of the body, like legs, torso, arms, because they all have different amounts of mass. And when you're dealing with different amounts of mass in the body, they heat up to different temperatures and they dissipate heat differently. So the torso is going to heat up the best and it's going to hold that heat the most because of how much mass there is. The arms and legs, whole nother story. Like the arms are going to be dissipating it almost as fast as you get it. And the arms and legs, according to Google, are 58 to 68% of your total body mass. So you don't want to neglect them. And that's what took us 6 years to develop a technology that would actually address the different body parts and the different amounts of mass with different amounts of heat. And we patented that. And to my knowledge, we're still the only company that's ever been able to pass that test for the FDA on the entire body and for a single body treatment.
So there's, whatever, tens, 20s, maybe hundreds of people trying to make this technology, but you guys are the only ones that are FDA or FTC approved?
For that have passed that test, and I'm not saying that there isn't one or two companies that committed fraud.
Yeah, we don't say that on this podcast.
No, but that has happened in the past, and FDA has you know busted them, and then sometimes they go on longer before the FDA finds out.
So you're tapping into a larger story here. I mean, obviously for you, the proof is in the pudding. You've tried this with your son. It's had a clear impact in his life, real measurable. You're passing tests that no one else is passing. That being said, in this industry, there is a bit of controversy right now around the effectiveness of this therapy. How has this impacted LightStim and the industry at large?
Well, it's impacted Lysum very positively, actually. In 2023, in April, the Federal Trade Commission put out a warning letter, basically because they're pissed off. And in the letter, they say because the industry is duping the public with unsubstantiated claims, and they actually say in this letter that they have already targeted, investigated, and penalized 670 companies. And that was April of 23. So I don't know how many since then. And when the class action lawsuit firms saw that, they went, whoa, there's low hanging fruit. Now we can go sue people in this industry, and we've got the government to back us up, and which has started occurring. And then the a law firm called King and Spalding, one of the largest firms in the country, 1,300 plus attorneys, headquartered in DC, but offices all over, and a 25-year working relationship with the FTC and the FDA. And they put out an opinion letter. And the opinion letter was on this exemption that the FDA did, I think it was back in January of 2020, if I'm not mistaken, where everybody thought the exemption for LED meant that, oh, we're exempt. We don't need to do a 510K FDA clearance. We can just put our products on the market. And nobody read it, though. And I have to say nobody read it because I'd much rather say that than think everybody's a criminal. And because we didn't even read it, but it wasn't affecting us because we're still going to put our stuff through the FDA and do the clinical studies and all the stuff we've always had to do with the FDA. But these guys dissected this regulation, and then they used the assistant director of the FDA who wrote the thing along with his team to verify everything that was in the letter was true. And it basically says in the letter that you don't just get to be exempt. You have to qualify for it first. And then if you qualify for it, then you've got to do all the same tests and everything that the FDA made LightStim do. You got to pass them all, and you put it in a folder so that when the FTC or the FDA walks into your place of business, you can go, look, I'm 100% legal. I did everything they said. But the qualifying before they even get to doing all the tests, one of the qualifications is very easy to meet. That's don't make wild claims, claim the same thing basically as a company like Light Stim that's went through the FDA and has claims that they have adjudicated that we can say, and everybody can fix their website or whatever it is tomorrow. That's all really easy for them to comply with that. But the second one says that you basically says you've got to have the same scientific technology as a company that got through the FDA and passed all those tests. And that technology was patented by the ex uh, judge of 20 years at the patent office. He did the patent for us, and it's pretty all encompassing. And basically they can't pass that test of raising tissue temperature to the certain degree on the entire body and then hold it. And so there are a lot of people being duped by, and it's and this is just full body. And the definition of full body isn't when somebody says this is a full body treatment, but it's when the public looks at it and goes, oh, that thing there is treating that guy's whole body that's exercising in front of it or laying in it, in a case of a tanning bed that's been converted to LED, that sort of thing. It only affects that category because the same FDA clearance for a handheld device like that's this big, well, you could just put it on a spot and eventually that spot will come up to temperature, or you need to change the engineering in that light because you're only asking for clearance to do that. But when you're asking for clearance to do the whole body at one time, you've got to be able to raise tissue temperature evenly on the entire body, hold it. And if you're using a bed that doesn't have that technology, you're not even coming close to getting the benefits of LED that you should be getting.
Hmm. That's really interesting. So I gotta say, I feel like it's so common that there's a very common narrative right now in the media, and that is pharmaceuticals and all these, and there's constantly this distrust among the public. And I have to say it's so refreshing to hear the story of Lightstim and to know that it starts with how you literally helped your son recover from drastic health, how you're all approved, you're doing everything by the book, and you're taking this forward and you're taking it forward in such an incredible way, such a meaningful way. What do you see as the future of Lightstim and the red light
Uh,
therapy industry?
I'll tell you that in a second, but you almost said something I thought you were going to say, and it was about the FDA. And
Yes,
what I
please.
wanted to put a plug in for the FDA, because sometimes you go to people, oh, yeah, it's FDA cleared. And they go, oh, I don't trust the FDA at all. Like, look, they approved the vaccine. They did this, they did that. They're all just looking for jobs with the pharmaceutical companies. That's drugs. There's two different divisions, drugs and
Oh,
devices. The guys in the device are nitpickers. Like they are really there trying to protect the public. And I have found that if you're trying to do the right thing and you're working with them in a manner to get to the end result, like they work with you. They're not some big nasty government organization as far as these guys in devices. They're really good to work for, and they're really looking out for the public. And I really want to tell people that because it's important that people differentiate that from drugs. And I'm not saying that drugs. I'm just saying what a lot of people think. um,
no, I really appreciate you providing clarity around that. That no, I think a lot of people don't know that the FDA is separated into multiple parts, and that the part that focuses on particularly Lightstim's area of expertise is one that does cross all the T's, dot all the I's. They're a little more difficult to pass things through. That's interesting to know.
they even use different words for the same thing. Like drugs uses approved, and devices uses cleared. Same safety and efficacy testing though, but they use completely different departments. But to answer your question about what I see in the future, I see Lightstim um, expanding really in the health and wellness area, and more things that can be done with LED. We actually have made devices for a guy named Dr. Harry T. Wayland, who did the NASA research on LEDs in the mid 90s and brought the technology of LED up to a whole new level and became the world authority on LED and medical stuff. It's done like 50 clinical studies, and we've made them lights for all kinds of crazy things. Like some of our lights we sent to them were for reversing blindness caused by diabetes, reversing macular degeneration, healing the chest after open heart surgery, uh, reduction of inflammation of the brain caused by severe head trauma, uh, activating a chemical that searches out and kills cancer cells in brain tumors. Like these are like, I mean, light is going way beyond what people have any idea that it's going to, and it's going to take more years to develop and that sort of thing. But even the high blood pressure thing, we did a study for the FDA on high blood pressure um, because of my son, and I mean, we were some the people that had really high systolic, like him, of 160 to 180 systolic, that they are in danger really of having a stroke. We brought him down 30 to 40 points in 3 treatments. So in 3 days, we could take somebody who's walking around basically like in that study anyway, the way that study was performed and whatnot. And we don't have clearance for that yet. We're still working with the FDA on that. We'll probably have to do another clinical study for them. But,
But
yeah,
that's, oh, keep going.
yeah, but it's just it's kind of mind-boggling where light is going to actually going to is going to much like the Star Trek thing where somebody gets all banged up and they put him in a room and turn on the lights and he's like 1 hour later he's back to normal. He's like,
And I gotta say that's one thing that really fascinates me about the med spa space is that it really is the future right now. Like I feel like a lot of the Star Trek healing mechanisms, a lot of those things, they come through. And stories like your son remind us that these things are real and they're possible. And I just want to thank you for everything you're doing to, I know how hard it is to run a business. I know the pain, the fear, the frustration, and I appreciate what you're doing to bring light to the world.
thank you. I'm lucky I have my family helping me to run the business and taking the burden off my shoulders, really.
Strong families make strong people make strong communities, and let's light the way.
That's right.